Well, thanks to everyone who stuck around for the entire day, those who came late and decided to jump into workshops and stick around for the final plenary. I hope all of you got some enriching discussion, some education, and some interest in the things that we are active in. And hopefully you learn more about what our party is all about and why we exist and all the different various things that we are involved in. And on this closing panel, we heard a great, I'm going to kind of expand in some way on the talk that Yvonne gave about, Yvonne explained what we are as a party. Bruce explained why he joined the party. But I want to talk to you about what it means to join the PSL, because we want everyone here who's not a member, whether you're a friend who knows us through political work or whether you just maybe happened upon this conference while you were walking around campus, we want everyone in this room to seriously consider joining. So I want to tell you all what that means. Membership in the PSL is not like joining a club or getting a subscription to a political newspaper or something like that. We want to transform revolutionary ideas into reality, and that takes organization. Joining the PSL doesn't mean you simply volunteer to pass out flyers or just come to study groups or show up at a protest. Our members, from the moment they join, enter into a process of training, education, and political development, not just in theory, but in practice, in the streets. We seek to train and develop every member as an organizer, as a leader, as a skilled and effective fighter against the system. Our strength and striking power come from our own comrades. We want to be the best fighters, and we do that by working in common, learning from each other, studying together, fighting side by side, and gaining expertise as a unit. In the party, you learn a wide variety of things, how to write speeches and give them, to study politics and philosophy and how to teach others, to organize a protest, to lead it, to organize a political meeting, to lead it, to confront the police, the bosses, the state, to raise consciousness in our own communities. And in fact, a large number of the people that you've seen throughout this conference giving presentations and leading workshops, many of them a year ago hadn't been to a demonstration or hadn't been to a political meeting. And today, after a short period, there is no other people that you would want to be side by side with in the streets than these comrades. We don't just join. We train ourselves to be a vanguard force. We are training and recruiting a party of leaders, but not leadership as we see among most groups in bourgeois society. We don't seek leadership based on who is the most educated or who is the most articulate. A party like ours puts a different premium on leadership. In the PSL, leadership is based on desire to struggle, the desire to fight, the spirit of resistance. Our organization has theory called Marxism, but we don't read the Communist Manifesto or Marx like it's the Bible or like it's a religious dogma. We study Marxism as a living science, as a lens to look at the world, a way to understand the epoch we live in, to observe the basic laws of society, and to analyze our own existence within that society. But ultimately, we use Marxism and Lenin's teachings on party building as a guide to action, not just as a way to understand the world, but as a way to change it. We are an organization that does many things, much of that you've heard about throughout the course of this conference. Every day, our comrades are fighting to improve the lives of working people. This means we're dedicated anti-war activists in the streets the moment imperialism is on the march, that we work in labor unions, organizing against the bosses, and those of us who are not in unions join the picket lines when the unions are in struggle. We fight for affordable tuition and against the cuts on our campuses, for tenant rights in our communities, to defend social services and healthcare. It means we struggle for immigrant rights and LGBT equality. It means we organize against racism and police brutality. We're in schools as high school students and college students, as teachers and professors. We're in workplaces, in unions, and we're even organizing amongst active duty soldiers in the military. Just in this past year, our party has organized mass protests against the war in Afghanistan, for the liberation of Palestine, for women's rights, against racism and police violence, actions against student debt, against state budget cuts, and for amnesty for immigrants, and much more. But the PSL is not just in Los Angeles. We're in Long Beach and Orange County. We're in Riverside and San Diego. And we're in states across the country, in New York, in Washington, in Massachusetts, in Florida, and beyond. Many, many more places. And since we're organized in a centralized party, we're able to take this message of revolutionary change to so many people across the country with a coordinated action plan. We can do these things because we have an organization. And every member becomes so much more effective when we are working together rather than alone. We work as a collective, supporting each other. And if the PSL's program that instead of groups and individuals fighting on these various issues, whether it's for immigrant rights or LGBT equality or jobs or healthcare, that we should fight together because these struggles are all connected. Our oppressor is the same. These are all the problems of capitalism. And this is why our party is unique. We want to build genuine unity among all sectors of oppressed people in society. And as Peter mentioned, you can see this within the ranks of our party and the leaders and the organizers and the activists in our party, that we are multinational. We're Black, brown, Arab, Asian, white, Native. We're old and young, high school students and retirees, gay and straight and trans. We're students, teachers, warehouse workers, letter carriers, retail workers, landscapers, and more. Our membership reflects the diversity and potential unity of US society. We are different people, some of different backgrounds, but we share a trait that unites us, and that's optimism that things can and will change. And we are able to do all of these things I just mentioned, both training a professional organization of revolutionaries internally and waging a class struggle in the streets against the crimes of capitalism, because we are a party, and not just any type of organization. We are a revolutionary, working-class political party. And a political party is different from other types of organizations. It's an organization that aspires ultimately to holding political power. And we don't mean holding an individual political office or getting our party members elected. We mean power in the sense that the working class shapes and controls the government, not a tiny class of parasitic billionaire bankers. That means we just don't want concessions from the bankers, from the Wall Street CEOs. We don't think that those who created so much misery, so much hardship, such inhumanity and suffering should be worked with or compromised with or bargained with. We think they should go to jail. We think they should be punished. We think they should be swept away into the dustbin of history, and that they should have their vast, ill-begotten wealth seized by the people and used to enrich our lives and to push society forward toward justice, towards equality, and towards human solidarity. And this is no easy task. Right now, we live in a dictatorship of the rich. And we get to vote every 4 years, but only for the next CEO of the affairs of the capitalists. And, we saw this with the last election. Of course, there were differences that were described earlier in the conference between the two candidates, but both are united on austerity, on maintaining the wars, on maintaining this social order. And there's no election about that. And since we live in a capitalist society that's dominated by capitalism, how does a socialist organization like the PSL ever conceive of coming to power? That question, our answer is revolution. Because, will the rich minority that runs this country ever wake up and willingly turn over all of its power and wealth to create a new society based on the interests of the vast majority? Well, you can pretty much bet, or not pretty much, you can 100% bet that that is not the way that society is going to change. It's going to take a fight. It's going to take a struggle, a people's struggle, and that's why we're revolutionaries. We accept that a revolution is what we need. And although we fight for reforms in the short term, that is our long-term goal, is revolution. And, when you say revolution, there's this immediate kind of reaction, and that is that word impossible. Because we're told it's impossible. We're told that this system, capitalism, is the best system that we can get, that it's permanent, that's a social order that'll last for eternity. We're told that change is slow, that we should simply vote or work for capitalist politicians or work within the system or simply accept that hardship is the way that it has to be and that there's no other choice for life. That we're told that in the United States, the masses of people will never rise up and want to take political power. But, it's interesting that there's an immediate reaction to the word revolution with the word impossible, because we do know that revolutions are possible, because they have happened. And we can see it throughout history and learn from it. So what can we learn from peasants in China who crushed emperors, from revolutionaries in Cuba who liberated the masses of poor and working people from a dictatorship, from a police state? What can we learn from slaves in Haiti who overthrew slave masters, from black people in the South who organized against Jim Crow and faced the Klan? What can we learn about people in South Africa who defeated apartheid? Or workers, factory workers in Russia who beheaded the Tsar and had the first successful working class seizure of power ever on the planet? What do those who made revolutions and those who radically changed society when everyone said it was impossible, what do they teach us? They teach us that if you're oppressed, that you can fight your oppressor. That if you're affected by imperialism, then you can fight imperialism. If you hate racism, then you can fight racism. If you're repulsed by a system that puts profits over people's lives, over the health and growth of children, over the dignity and respect of the elderly, profits over the right of people around the world to live in peace, then you must stand and fight against those criminals at the top. They showed us that we can do that. They showed us that we can fight. And they taught us that you don't have to do it alone. They taught us to do it with others who think the same and who have had similar experiences, to stand side by side with others in your class, others affected by the same enemy. And don't just fight with them in the streets, but train with them, organize with them, study with them, learn from them and help them learn, not just to learn these things academically, but learn them as a team to become a tool with which to wage class warfare against the criminal billionaires and their system of exploitation and oppression, to become the thing that can wrest the death grip of capitalism from the planet and humanity and put it in the hands of the people. But most importantly, what they taught us is that if you fight, if you struggle, if you work, if you build, that you can win. And not only win, but win when they say it's impossible. Or so said the people who were overthrown. They showed us that no king is too powerful, no dictator is too strong, no government is too omnipotent, no system is permanent. They all crumble under the weight when the people get organized and exercise their massive power, the power of class unity. Today's feudal kings and queens, today's slave traders, today's colonial masters are the billionaire bankers and corporate shareholders. And like the masses of people who overthrew those oppressive systems of the past, you can be a part of overthrowing this oppressive system of capitalism. Sisters and brothers, we thank you for attending this conference on socialism. We hope you enjoyed the presentations, learned more about socialism and the struggle today. We hope you consider joining the PSL by filling out one of these forms that's in your packet. They're also at the front table, by talking to one of our members, by attending one of our future events. And if you've listened to this conference, it is clear that we need a new system, one for the people, for the planet, for humanity, and dignity. So if you hate oppression, if you hate exploitation and sexism and racism and bigotry and war and poverty, if you dream of a better life, if you dream of a better world of dignity, of justice, then we need to fight for it, together as a party, as professional revolutionaries, as comrades. We hope you take that step with us. Thank you.